Tourism in Namibia already hit hard by the COVID-19 pandemic and the regulations that remain in force to curb its further spread, was looking up this year only to receive another body blow with the emergence of the Omicron variant. Here to speak to us about the resilience of the Namibian tourism sector and other issues relating to the industry, Gitta Paetzold, the Chief Executive Officer of the Hospitality Association of Namibia. Now, HAN is, of course, an umbrella body for all Namibian hospitality businesses, hotels, lodges, B&Bs, guest houses, guest farms, restaurants, rest camps, conference centers, as well as catering services. Good morning, Gitta, and welcome to Good Morning Namibia.
Good morning, Denver. Thanks for having me.
Close to 2 years of resilience must come at quite a hefty price. How is the sector coping?
Well, I must admit that until the 26th of November, we were actually looking up our statistics, and I just finished the statistics for November. We're looking wonderfully, judging by the phase that we are in with COVID-19. We had over 40% occupancy for November, and then came the 26th of November, came Omicron, travel bans to Southern Africa, and I think for December we'll see the slashing of those figures to at least half of that. So we're down to where we were a year ago, which is quite discouraging. But yeah, we Namibians always pride ourselves of calling ourselves the resilient nation. It's been almost 2 years, and I don't know how much breath we still have in us, but we just have to keep on.
We hear and believe you. Now, 26 November, ironically, is Black Friday. So this bad news came on this particular day. Black Friday must have taken a completely different meaning this time around when the announcement was made from the UK and the European Union that Namibia and other Southern African countries have been red listed because of Omicron that was detected in South Africa. And the understanding is that it doesn't mean that because it was detected there by the scientists that it necessarily originated in South Africa.
Yeah, well, the scientists across the globe have now already identified Omicron to have happened in countries like even Germany and the UK and even America before November. It's just that the South African scientists were fast enough and honest enough to make the revelation, to share that information, because we are dealing with a global pandemic and we can only deal with it globally and by taking hands. So yeah, we feel it was quite unfair to then brand Southern Africa as the dangerous zone, the danger zone. It has caused a heavy toll on our industry, I must admit, because we've just basically opened up. We were taken off red lists, and travel was coming back, and people are hungry for what we offer here. And then for governments to ban, to actually stop travel to a destination just because of an announcement was pretty serious for us. I think some of the tour operators are really feeling the brunt. There were cancellations coming in from the 26th of November to the value of millions of dollars within a week.
Sure.
26th of November was also our Black Friday, so some of the companies offered specials, offered vouchers, and that was a bit of a consolation to see that at least Namibians were buying up. And because some of these voucher selling was online, we also saw some other people buy their vouchers. So a bit of a consolation, but I think this blow, I would say, was the hardest within the 20 months that we've been suffering through Omicron, because, you know, we were basically just there, our nose was sort of surfacing above the waters, and then comes that slump. So it was a hard blow, and I know a lot of people are still shell-shocked.
Now, that drastic announcement that many saw as a clampdown, of course, had the serious impact that you're sharing with us. I know the approach was last year from the tourism sector to encourage tourists and or prospective tourists to put their travel on hold or to perhaps postpone it as opposed to cancelling it. Why was it different this time around?
Because the postponement basically would have had to be repeated again. People had cancelled last year. Not cancelled, we were asked to, they're not cancel but postpone. So they shifted their holiday planning from 2020 to 2021. There were some changes within the year, because remember we went through waves, and then if they wanted to come last year in December, that was also postponed. So some people had postponed their holidays 2 or 3 times. And with this blow and this very sudden announcement, people said, you know, nothing is safe anymore, nothing is secure. So you know what, take us off your books, we'll come back when it's safe. And the unfortunate thing is that for some, they would now say, okay, you know, it's safer to travel in the geographical regions that we have, so rather travel to a beach in Europe somewhere than to come all the way to Southern Africa, and that's the hard part of it. it's not as though our region is unsafe. It's just the insecurity and the cancellation and the hin and her, like we always say, that has put the people almost off. Luckily, I always have to say Namibians are lucky. We have huge groups of friends of Namibia that say, come hell or high water, we want to go to Namibia, because they know that we offer exactly the right product for a post-COVID travel destination. We've got the space, we've got the fresh air, so there are people hanging on, same as our industry is also hanging on by a thread, I have to admit, because apart from the travel ban, we've also instituted new regulations in terms of traveling into Namibia. So the 72-hour test poses huge challenges to our travelers from the US and the Asian market. We've seen cancellations coming in from there. People, I know of a tour operator, he had a group of 22 people, a big family coming or planning to come at the end of December, and because of the 72-hour ruling that was worded to mean from the test to arrival to Namibia, which is just geologically impossible. They can't arrive with their 3 hop-over flights to Namibia in that time, so they cancelled a trip that would have brought Namibia 4.5 million. That's only one trip.
How does one overcome that challenge relating to the test specifically?
We were hoping that we could copy the Southern African example. South Africa, for instance, says also 72 hours, so we're not negating the 72 hours, but the timing of when the test was taken and your start of travel. So that once you board the first plane, be it in New York or Chicago or wherever, you should be regarded as safe in that safe travel bubble, because on airports everywhere you wear your mask, you keep your distance, etc. That would have allowed the people to actually travel and then not count the 36 or sometimes 40 hours of traveling time from Chicago to London, from London to Joburg to Windhoek. It takes time with delay. So the 72 hours is just geographically impossible for us to adhere. South Africa said from taking the test to first embarkation, that was what we were appealing for, but our government decided otherwise, and we'll have to make do with what is in place at the moment. There are quite a few challenges also in terms of, and I spoke to some of our people here in Swakopmund in terms of how they judge the season so far. They say we are missing our SADC visitors. Botswana, Zambia, Zimbabwe, and obviously our South African friends. The multiple tests that they have to do, and we all now ask for PCR tests. You know what PCR test costs. Luckily, South Africa's had some reduction in price. But for a family from Botswana, for instance, to come to Namibia, it costs you easily some $4,000 or $5,000 just to get here for the test.
Sure.
And then on your return, you have to do the same thing. So it's been coming very expensive to travel for seasonal holidays to the coast of Namibia. Swakopmund and the rest of the coast is feeling that brunt. Some of the lodges in Namibia are doing well because of the vouchers that were sold. Namibians are heeding the call to discover their own country. We're very, very grateful for that. But looking forward, our plea was to harmonize the testing and the travel regulations for the whole of Southern Africa. That's a huge challenge that we still have, and it would be so nice if, well, not only Southern Africa or the SADC region would harmonize their travel protocols, the whole world should do it. We should all have the same system, because the world is a global village, and if only we could have one rule counting for all, because we saw how fast Omicron spread.
Yes.
It's not a South African virus. It's a global virus that just was detected at some places earlier than the others.
So, I wish we had the entire day to talk about this, but we don't. Speaking about hin and her, we have been taken off the red list in the meantime. Has that led to an improvement? Briefly.
It calms the nerves a little bit, and I see that Holland is also taking off the ban for flights between South Africa and Holland. So yes, the world is reopening up to South Africa, but the damage is done. We just have to see how quickly we can recuperate from the hard blow that we got. But definitely, I mean, any status, and we're hoping that the Robert Koch Institute in Germany also takes us off that very strict regimen where people that come back from Namibia or South Africa will have to quarantine for 14 days. If only that were to be shortened. In Germany it would say home quarantine, which is fair, but the timing, you can't actually have too long a holiday because you have to go back for quarantine. If that could be lifted, if we could do like we did last year, test yourself free after 2 or 3 days, that would already help. So, but any lift, any improvement on the strict regulations would already help.
Dankeschön.
I have to thank you, and enjoy the view while you can.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
That was Gitta Paetzold, Chief Executive Officer of the Hospitality Association of Namibia, talking to us about the dire straits that the tourism sector finds itself in. We're right back after a brief break.